All right. So we're going to talk about the fall of 1971, and I'm Scott Patterson. Still. Thanks for coming out. All right, so this is Jim Toy. Jim Toy was born in 1930 in Central Ohio during World War II. He is a biracial man. He's Chinese and white. So looking up on all this stuff, when I got to him, it was actually pretty funny because I found a couple of articles that his childhood buddies that he went to school with, they actually said that he walked around the school wearing like a cardboard sign that said, "I am not a Jap." Thought that was kind of funny. Well, during World War II, for sure, absolutely. He got his bachelor's degree at Denison University. His master's degree was obtained at University of Michigan in clinical social work. And then he stayed at the University of Michigan until 1984. I have a short video. It's just one video, but I'm going to jump around just so you can see what he's, what type of guy he was or is.
Do you want sound?
Yes, if you don't mind. There it is.
My first name is Jim, which is short for James. My last name is Toy, T-O-Y, as in tinker, and now everyone can spell it. I was taught never to talk about sex, politics, or religion at the dinner table. And I think I have learned that if you bring up one, the other two inevitably have to follow. I'm a Democrat, I'm an Episcopalian, I'm a conscientious objector. I was born biologically male, so I was assigned to what we call the male gender. I identify with that gender assignment, and as it turned out, I happen to be gay.
All right. And then there's going to be a bunch of people that know him that go through and talk about him. Then I'm going to let him close this out real quick.
Sisters and brothers, we're all in this together. The past is yesterday, today is now, and tomorrow is our opportunity. So, let's keep working for liberty, for justice, and for peace. And while we do that, I have one injunction. Keep misbehaving.
He just seemed like a calm person, so it's just, I enjoyed it. All right, back to it. All right, so at the University of Michigan, there was no office or center for the gay and lesbian community at that time. So the only resource that they had was a bar that was in town of Ann Arbor called AUT, A-U-T. I think that's how you spell it or pronounce it. So that's where a lot of people would go so they could like feel like themselves and be social and be comfortable doing whatever they're doing comfortably around everybody else. So it wasn't that big of a deal, or it wasn't that big of a deal. It was not that uncommon for that place to be pretty happening. So his buddy, Jim went to a church around there, and so he saw this date on a bulletin at the church. That's what it said, January 15, 1970, gay meeting. So he went and talked to the priest or pastor or whoever led it, and it's kind of funny because same time a lot of radical things going on. So he called the priest Daddy-O, which I thought was funny. But he wanted to know. He was like, what's this gay meeting? What does this entail? And he didn't really say anything. He was just like, well, it's in Detroit and whatever. So he's like, all right, cool. So Jim and his buddy John, they went to the bar the night before to kind of talk about, like, get a game plan together of what they're going to do. So, well, yeah, his buddy John was really worried. Jim was already open and out, and he was very comfortable being himself. His buddy John, not so much. He would go with Jim places just because he was comfortable with Jim. So John is not really part of the story, or part of the whole ordeal, but it's part of the story. So John was really, really nervous about going to a meeting like this in Detroit because John identified as straight, and he's like, I don't know what I'm doing here. So he was really worried about going. But anyways, so the God Box, or the church, had a meeting and the group was called the Detroit Gay Liberation Movement. All right. Let's see if I'm still on track. All right. Yeah. So a month after that church meeting, when he saw the bulletin, right, he decided, well, let's start our own thing here in Ann Arbor. Like, this is where we live. This is where we work. Like, let's start here. So a month after the church meeting, they go back to Detroit and find somebody and talk to them, and get more information about how they become a group and steps that they need to go through and everything. So what ends up happening is they come back to Ann Arbor and they start their own group called the Ann Arbor Gay Liberation Front. All right. So when they do that, they wanted to statewide. Okay, so they got the group, and the group wanted to do a statewide conference. Well, the university didn't allow them to do that because the president, according to the president of the university, he said it was not educational, and they didn't have the police department presence available to be around for it. So the president of the university just said, no, we're good. So did that, and so denied. All right, then a causative member. He didn't want to be named, so they just left it in all my research. So that's all just it said, that he was a closeted member. He wasn't a happy camper about all this. So he got really upset, and he's like, whatever, we're getting in this building. So he goes out, and he comes back, and he's got keys, all sorts of keys. Everyone's like, what's going on with the keys? Like, and he's like, it's okay, I'm the vice president of the Student Government Council, so I can get in here. So this dude just lets all these people in and everything. So they do their thing, and the conference was then held at the university because of this. There was a staff member there that was supporting the group, and that was his notes that he wrote back and gave to the university. He said that there was low numbers, low energy. If you ignore them, they'll go away. All right. Well, he actually supported the group. He was fine with it. So he wrote that just as a ploy, just as like something else to deter everybody away, like so that way people aren't just breathing over or looking over their shoulder constantly, and they have constantly questioning about what you're doing or anything. They just let it be, and it just continued to grow and grow. So pretty good idea, I thought, but I mean, I don't know, that it's just rude. They'll just go away if we just leave them be. All right, so then they wanted to get an office. They wanted a space that was completely their own instead of continuously just basically, I mean, is it breaking in if you have a key? Illegally using the room, I guess, or using the room without permission. All right, so there was a secretary that apparently forgot to talk about. So she told Jim earlier, well, if you want your own space, you got to write a memo, and that'll get passed up the chain throughout the university to allow for you guys to have your own space so you can do whatever you want to do in that space. Well, that one got denied. So the second one, the same secretary came back to him, talked to Jim, and he was like, well, yeah, cool. Like, of course we want a space. Like, this is what we want. We already got the group together. It's all good. So then the group was given, this is all they were given once the memo got approved. They were given a small room with one desk, 2 chairs, and a filing cabinet. Yeah. Don't know how many people were there for that, but that was where they ended up getting to go in there, of course. All right. So then, okay, going back, sorry, that guy, he's trying. He's trying. I forgot to point that out. Then I got these two backwards. So that's actually the advertisement or the newspaper listing. Yeah, that was in the newspaper, and that's how they were trying to get people informed and involved with this group, which I think is funny because the guy's name is Jim Toy. Spelled his name wrong. Like, really? Come on. Like, that's definitely, especially snail mail. That's definitely not going where it needs to go. All right, so this is where I was supposed to be. All right. The group then requested gender parity in the office. So what they did, University of Michigan took the risk of creating the human sexuality office. All right, so that was originally what it was in 1971. They hired temp employees, Cynthia Gare, who was the lesbian advocate, and Jim Toy, who was the gay male advocate. All right, and this office apparently was the first center in the U.S. and in the world. I didn't look much further into that, but
It's credited as the first.
is it really? Okay, well, fair enough. Boom. Done. Let's see, what else was I gonna say? Human sexuality office, all right. Cool. So this is, the original office was, or the second office after 15 years of the human sexuality office, then became the lesbian gay male programs office. That office then stuck around for quite a while. And then, now this is what it looks like now at the University of Michigan. That's the Spectrum Center at the University of Michigan. Same thing. It's just changed its name a couple of times. And they said that that Jim Toy has a library named after him there. But he was there until about 1984. And he was there for a long time. But he left in 1984 for research or started co-authoring book. I don't.
He's done a lot.
Yeah,
He's done a lot.
he seemed kind of like a wanderer. Like that was kind of his thing. Like University of Michigan was his home for a while, but then after that he just kind of did his own thing. I don't know. I wouldn't want to say disappeared, but just kind of comes and goes. And then my references.
Thank you.